Good morning and welcome to Enterprise Friday on Enterprise Television. I am Kende Bodering.
And I am Henry Ikwepike.
All right, it's the start of a new day and we are glad to have you on the show today. We'll kick off with today's newspaper review before diving into the main conversation of the day. Trust me, you don't want to miss a moment with us. You can join the conversation by dropping your comment, liking and following us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. So joining us to share the matters at hand is Jumoke Alawodi James. Thank you so much, Ma, for joining us.
Thank you so very much.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah, so she is a journalist, a development communicator, and a public affairs analyst. Thank you so very much for being here. Truly do appreciate your time.
Okay,
Thank
so...
you.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, beautiful.
Yes, I can.
Awesome.
Thank you. So, Erin, we'll just go with the Vanguard newspaper. So, on the Vanguard newspaper, the big story there, we have integrity of our elections non-negotiable. Amupitan, INEC Chair.
And also we have on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, PDP National Chair Turaki emerges not a consensus candidate.
All right. So, on the top strip, we have stock market capitalization inches towards 100 trillion naira. 100 trillion naira. Yeah.
And also we have Labour Party crisis. Usman demands a former acting INEC chairman's arrest.
We have OE, Anambra East local government areas boost Solo with endorsement donations.
And also we have a PDP, Jonathan under pressure to drop 2027 presidential ambition.
Still on the top strip, we have alleged terrorism. Kanu sacks legal team to open defense today.
All right. I would love us to take on a PDP, Jonathan under pressure to drop 2027 presidential ambition. I'd love you to speak to us on this. Do you think that it makes any sense to have Goodluck Ebele Jonathan return, possibly to vie for the seat of the presidency? What do you think?
Did he forget in Aso Rock? Because I think he's had his time. A president is supposed to stay for 2 terms of 8 years, 4 years each. He concluded his predecessor or his principal, Yar'Adua's 4-year term. Yar'Adua died 2 years into their 4-year term, and he concluded that. And then ran after those 2 years and became president. So he's been president for 6 years already. If he goes at a second term, a personal second term, that will make him, president for 10 years. And that can, we don't want to waste time on all of those legal issues of asking the Supreme Court to interpret 8 years tenure for a president and an acting president also, for 10 years. We don't want all of that waste of time. More importantly is there were quite a few things that those of us who were against him, I used to think he was also clueless. I didn't know that there was going to be anybody more clueless than him. So I asked for his forgiveness. I didn't know President Buhari was going to be worse than President Jonathan. And the last 10 years after President Jonathan have been worse than President Jonathan's 6 years. So we owe him an apology. But in those 6 years, he could have done better. He wasn't the best of presidents in terms of controlling his cabinet. He had a good cabinet in terms of ministers from Kojo Vela, to Akinwumi Adesina. Both of them have gone to do well internationally now. But the corruption under him, he is the president who said stealing is not corruption. The corruption under President Jonathan was astounding. Oh, yes, you can argue that he continued under President Buhari, but I don't think that there's anything new for President Jonathan to add to the policy. And his wife has ably advised him. She said if he does go for a purported second term, she's not coming back to Aso. I think he's had his time. Let us continually remember him with good feelings. He congratulated President Buhari when he won the 2015 election, and that was novel. It was new in Africa. Let's continue to remember him, for that singular good act. Let him not damage the good name he has left us.
Awesome.
Speaking of damage, okay, let's look at it this way. What about if Jonathan decide, we're just, exaggerating, we're just assuming if it decides to run for the presidential race in 2027, do you think people, like the citizens, do you think we would come out, in our droves to vote for him? Do you think there will be this high level of, voting participation?
One, the political platform, because we really do not have political parties with ideologies in Nigeria. The political platform that he runs on will determine to a large extent how far he will go. If he's going to go run on a new political platform, then it will be a waste of his own time and a waste of our time. If he runs with the PDP has been destroyed under him. His own people, Atiku, Saraki, formed the new PDP under him because they didn't want him to go for a second term. So if he comes back, is the party now going to accept him? Thirdly, concerning your question about the citizens themselves, some people, anybody except President Tinubu, I mean, in the last 2 years, going on 3 years, we've suffered worse than we did under 8 years of Buhari. So some of us just want a bit of respite. And the Jonathan years were way better than the last 10 years. So some people may vote for him, but I don't think that the majority of Nigerians will want to go back to President Jonathan. Not at all. Let him not waste his time. Let him continue to be an elder statesman. He's one president that after his tenure, invitations here and there globally to come and speak here. I mean, just by congratulating his opponents after the elections, before they were declared, he gave him a new personnel. I think he should just ride on that, sell books, go and talk internationally, forget president.
All right, so let's move on to the Guardian newspaper. Equally for today, we have the big story there. Tinubu demands credible elections as Amupitan faces Anambra hurdle.
Okay, we also have defection. Makinde APC senator decry lack of political ideology in Nigeria. And
also we have on the business side here, MTN Nigeria here to stay. CEO reiterates at a bilateral roundtable. Okay,
we have Kanu Sak's legal team to represent self in courts. I think we have that on Punch too.
All right. So okay. So we equally have this one again. Tinubu appeals for understanding over economic challenges.
On the top strip, we have challenging elections in court makes mockery of Nigeria. NAS laments and NASS.
All right. I would love us to take on again. Tinubu appeals for understanding over economic challenges. Nigerians are becoming very used to such rhetorics from the president and his team. On the other side of the divide, they seem not to show the same understanding they are advising Nigerians to, hold and embrace. So do you think that is a textbook definition of hypocrisy coming from President Bola Tinubu and his team?
The word Muslims hate the most is hypocrisy. We do not want to be called hypocrite. But when you are asking the citizens who you are supposed to serve to tighten their belt, and you are buying the latest Escalade, I don't remember there was any problem with the Mercedes Benz that President Jonathan wrote, that President Buhari wrote, that we needed to go and buy a bigger car, bulletproof, right? And you're riding the latest Escalade, buying presidential jet, presidential yacht, buying new SUVs for your wives, building new buildings for the vice presidential lounge, spending lavishly like you have all the money in the world, while you are removing, palliative in terms of fuel subsidy, forex subsidy, electricity, every subsidy there is, you removed it for the people, saying that we should live the real life, right? It has to be hypocrisy for you to be asking us to give you more time. You're not giving us any show of that Nigeria doesn't have money. You're living like we're billionaires in trillions of dollars, and we have all the money in the world, you know. So leadership ought to be by example. If they want us to tighten our belts, give them more time, be more understanding, they need to apply it first. Go back to the Oronsanya report, which is to reduce your civil services bloated, it is too large. Then you cannot be buying new cars. Just look at our budget. We're borrowing money to pay salaries. It's hypocrisy, full stop.
Okay, let me just quickly throw this question. So do you think these economic challenges are short term? You know, they are short term pains, or they are just signs of deeper structural problems?
These are not short-term challenges, except you start to put in long-term solutions, which include provide the enabling environment, infrastructure, constant electricity. Electricity has become better now. A lot of us just cannot afford it, right? Roads for farm produce to be transported from farmers to the consumers, right? Mechanized farming. Security, so that the farmers can even go to their farms, right? Just provide government. Why is there government anywhere in the world? Is to provide the things that the individual cannot provide for themselves. I can't build a school for myself, but if the government provides a good school, I can attend and pay good school fees, right? Provide good healthcare, hospitals, good roads, railway system, right? Secure our lives and property. When you do that, and we start to, Nigeria has arable land, right? And we're farmers. A lot of the farmers have come down south to come and become security men in the south because there's no security for their lives, right, at their farm. So when we produce excess of what we need to consume, then we can start to export. It's when you export that you gain the foreign exchange that allows you to import all of the other things that we do import. Again, the reason we import a lot of the things we consume is because it's cheaper to import them than to produce them. Electricity is so expensive and non-available in Nigeria that a lot of Nigerian companies would rather even go to our West African brothers in Ghana, in Benin Republic here to produce because there's constant electricity. When you start to, take those steps, then gradually the foreign exchange difference will start to dissipate, and then Nigeria will become prosperous as we once were. But to just keep on paying lip service, this is not a short-term problem at all. It will continue to persist, which is why it persisted under President Buhari. He didn't have any clue. He was shutting the borders rather than improving security so that we could produce more, rice, for instance. He was banning imported rice. People are hungry. What happens? The imported rice will just become more expensive. So it's a long-term problem, but there are low-hanging fruits, things you can do immediately to start to nip it in the bud, so that in the next few years things will get better.
Okay, thank you. So speaking on that, the phrase "appeal," right, for understanding, that's in quotes, has become common, right? So, but citizens are growing impatient about this. So now, should Nigerians continue to be patient? Should you and I, continue to be patient, or it is time for us to demand measurable progress from the government?
Actually, we've been demanding progress from the government. They just don't listen. The gap between the governed and the government is so large that they believe that there's nothing we can do to them. You and I are going to impeach them if we become impatient and we do not grant them more time. There's nothing we can do, right? So they do the barest minimum and throw out rhetorics here and there. You know, I think all of that is PR for the international government to think they're doing something. It's not. Nigerians were permanently patient. Where else will we go to?
Where else, of course, where else do we go to? Nigeria still remains the only veritable place that we can count on. But let's get to other matters. Defection, Makinde APC senators decry lack of political ideology in Nigeria. And coming from Makinde himself, does he have that right to say some of these things, knowing that possibly in the future he might equally defect to yet another party? What we have today are politicians who are moving from APC to the PDP and PDP to the APC. What was your take on Makinde's submission?
Well, Makinde hasn't defected yet, right? So we will take it at face value. But I remember he was part of Wike's G5.
Yeah.
That they were swearing at be up and down during President Bola
Tinubu.
They didn't want Atiku to be their presidential candidate in the 2019 election, and they formed G5. In 2020, it was even in 2023 because they were governors at the time. It was 2023 they formed GP, right? So for him to be saying there's no ideology, did he form G5 with Wike because the PDP didn't have ideology at the time when he was governor of Oyo State? Makinde is my star boy. I liked him during his first term. You know, he has performed, but any Nigerian politician that is saying there's no ideology, I think it's self-criticism. Do they have ideology themselves as individuals?
Exactly. That's the big question. If they themselves have ideology going forward, especially with governance and all that they do. But let's move on to business for a bit, just before we call it quick for this particular segment. MTN Nigeria here to stay. CEO reiterates at a bilateral round table. MTN has been here for a very, very long time. They are the market leaders in their ecosystem. Do you think what we have is a monopoly by MTN? Do you think their services is good enough to give them congratulations? What do you think has stopped homegrown telcos from doing better and scaling beyond Nigeria?
That's a number of questions in one.
Yes.
MTN Nigeria will be 24 or 25, if I'm right. They were 2000, 2001, right? So they've stayed, like their counterpart DSTV, right, has stayed that long. Why the international companies have better, stronger grounds in Nigeria is funding. Do the Nigerian counterparts have as much international backing as their international counterparts, right? To say that they are here to stay, definitely they are making money. They are the most expensive in terms of data, in terms of phone calls. Oh yes, their network may be better than the indigenous ones, you know, but they're the most expensive. In fact, when we only had them and Econet, way back when the licenses were issued, they were the elitists.
Yeah.
You know, network. They were so expensive, you know, as opposed to Econet at the time. I think I've answered all the questions. The last one was about why are the Nigerian telcos not doing as well as MTN. I just think it's funding. Nigeria is a very difficult terrain to operate in, and was it last year or 2 years ago? It even seemed like MTN was failing because you have all these your towers, your masts. They're being jeopardized, they're compromised, they're stealing your diesel, there's insecurity, they kidnap your workers on the way to maintain those towers, you're paying ransom. You know, it seems like we're going to withdraw from Nigeria, but now that they're MD saying they're here to stay, we know why. It's because the profits that they declare every year from Nigeria, their tariff is high.
Yeah.
Who would leave such a profitable business anyway? What I think that we should do for the Nigerian companies, because I'm not going to say that we should patronize them when their service is not as good. We did give them a chance, particularly Glo when they came in. They came in with the per second billing, which all the other networks had made seem impossible at the time. So quite a number of people jumped on the Glo network. But till tomorrow, even though they say that they have the submarine cables underwater, the fiber cables, their network has still never been as powerful as those of their counterparts. So people are not going to leave good network. I want to be on Zoom with you on Enterprise TV without it glitching. I'm not going to use Glo. If you understand what I mean.
Very well.
So so what the Nigerian companies need to do is to improve whatever they're going to get their loans from, to throw in the funding that they need for their services to improve. Nigerians are ready to jump on any. Look, we're buying Starlinks. It's so expensive to get Starlinks, but because Starlinks will not glitch. So if the Nigerian counterparts can get the Nigerian government to fund them, get international partners, we have the population, 420 million of us, who will jump on your network if you provide the best service. But we're not going to bottle feed you and be patriotic to a network that doesn't serve us. That's why MTN is doing very well in Nigeria.
Yeah, very, very so. Fortunately, we have good amount of competition in the telcos. In the media arm, we do not have so much competition. If not for multi-choice as DSTV and Star Times, we do not have any other competition. Canal 4, I would love to believe the French company have taken over 100% of multi-choice right now. And I do not know if they intend to invest more on the business. But what do you think of multi-choice and DSTV? Because it is beginning to look like the parent company, Canal, is taking away lots of things away from multi-choice and DSTV. Do we see an eventual dilution of the DSTV we all know? And hopefully that this might give the opportunity for others to come up and compete favorably.
Look, the platform for competition has always been there. What happened to High TV was that they didn't manage their resources well. If you have the Premier League that all Nigerians want to watch, you have the Nigerian audience. Please do not come and start shouting on the parent company of DSTV because they have promised that they are going to reduce their prices. Nigerians are no longer. Look, if you ask me, will we subscribe for DSTV or will I buy? That would be for survival first, I mean.
Yeah.
So subscribers are no longer subscribing.
Yes, very well.
It has become luxury that we can afford. So you see that people they are having to reorganize their operations and say, look, if you don't want to lose the market, we have to find a way to bring down the cost of subscription. And that's what they're doing. So you see that DSTV, which is where, coming back to where I really started, which was, it's difficult to do business in Nigeria. They couldn't maintain it. Everything is expensive. They're buying diesel at high cost and all of that, paying staff salaries and all of that. Their subscriptions kept on going higher and higher. And then eventually people could no longer afford. We started dropping off. They're new, so they divested. And the new owners are realizing to hold the market, you have to reduce your subscription. They have sole rights to the Premier League, which is why they have stayed without competition. There's competition. There's Star Times. There used to be ITV. There are different cable companies. It's just that all of us run to DSTV for the Premier League. So if the next time the bid for the Premier League is up, another cable network is able to acquire it, maybe nobody will subscribe to DSTV again, which has happened with ITV, so it's very possible. There's room for competition. Just go and do the right thing and get what Nigerians want to watch, and we'll subscribe.
Yeah, very well said. We're over 220 million Nigerians.
A huge
That's
market.
yes, a very huge market. It's like the combination of like 10 African countries, some 10 African smaller countries together.
Yeah.
And you can see how the market is big for anyone who is serious enough to take advantage of that. So just to let you know that Jumoke would be here to take us on our main conversation. That is when we return. Amupitan, integrity of Nigeria's election, non-negotiable. That will be in a bit. This is still Enterprise Friday. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back.
Thank you for being back, and if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Friday, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. The new INEC Chairman, Professor Joash Amupitan, has vowed to uphold the integrity of Nigeria's elections, describing it as non-negotiable. Speaking at the INEC headquarters in Abuja after being sworn in by President Bola Tinubu, he pledged to deliver free, fair, and, wait for it, credible polls, starting with November 8 Anambra governorship election.
Very true. Amupitan called for unity and collaboration within the commission and with stakeholders, stressing that restoring voter confidence is key to tackling voter apathy. He promised to prioritize staff welfare and ensure INEC operates efficiently and transparently.
We also have it that describing his appointment as a divine call, Amupitan said he is committed to building a new Nigeria anchored on democracy and accountability. Despite the challenges ahead, he expressed optimism that under his watch, elections will be so credible that losers will congratulate winners. We still have with us Jumoke Alaude. James, thank you so very much for hanging on. Beautiful. Now, I'd love you to have your say on the person of Amupitan. When Professor Mahmoud Yakubu was equally brought in to do what Amupitan is about to start doing, he promised lots of things. He made us feel that it was El Dorado. Nigeria was going to be more better in electioneering, and the United States might even come to copy what we do. Unfortunately, 2023, February 25th, was a charade. We didn't see all of that, and he is, of course, being marked as the most controversial INEC chairman as we speak today. Speak to me on the case of Amupitan. Do we see a repeat of the same pattern, or do you sense a little difference in the personality of the professor?
58-year-old Professor Amupitan is being offered a clean slate by most CSOs. I see everyone congratulating him and saying, look, the integrity of our elections are in your hands. Do well to dissipate voter apathy, do well to educate, Nigerians on the need to vote. And he's also made a lot of promises on the credibility of our elections going forward, starting from Anambra, November 8th, But there were quite a few things that hang on his head. And the very first one is that if a president that is going to sit for an election or that is interested in upcoming elections, even if it was President Tinubu's second term, right? And he can't even go for re-election anymore. The fact that his political party is still going to sit for the election, the fact that he nominated this individual, yes, he presented him to the Council of State, which are former presidents and heads of state, and they anointed Amupitan. He presented him to the Senate. I think the Senate screenings was a charade, to me personally. When the president of the Senate, Apathy, was asking, is the legal team? I mean, that was playing to the gallery because Amupitan himself had been accused or alleged to have represented President Tinubu in the 2023 presidential petition tribunal, right? So the reverse psychology of asking, has he represented Peter Obi, the main opposition, you know, during the Senate screening? I think that was a charade. They were wasting our time rather than really digging into his person. He's a professor of law from the University of Jos, so he's I won't say alumni, his constituency followed him into his swearing in yesterday. But we have seen many professors head INEC and our
Okay, are you still there?
Are you still there? Okay, I think we are having a bit of communication problem there. Yes, she was speaking to, you know, the issue of Amupitan and his going through, you know, filtering, you know, distillation during the Senate, the questioning session, and what Abio had going on that particular matter. And just like she did say, which is absolutely right, that at some point, Amupitan represented the president. And the big question is, how do you now feel that somebody who has paid you in the past, or someone who has employed you for a job in the past, now places you in a position where you have the right to help him, allegedly? Do you think Amupitan would renegade on that, would say, I won't do that? It's a big question. Well, I would have loved to, you know, ask Jumoke on the issue of Jega, you know, that was brought in, of course, by Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, if I stand to be correct. But of course, he did not do the biddings of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, right? He was very quick at giving the winnings to Muhammad Buhari.
Yeah.
So do we see a repeat of the same thing? It's Jumoke still there? Okay, just until we're able to, you know, reconnect back to her. But what do you think? Do you feel it's possible to have an Amupitan that would be, you know, he is a member of the Seventh-day Adventists. You know, those people are very, very so pious.
Yes.
Yes.
No, not all of them.
No, most of them, 95% of them, very pious. So they stand for the truth and.
Yes,
yeah.
I've met some of them, and I can say they can be like that. But to your question, I feel Amupitan is going to do the same, because tell me why. It's glaring. It was actually, it helped him. So it's more of like what I did to you, I should even return that. It should be a return favor. You understand? So I feel Amupitan is going to do the same. And you know, one thing we should know is this thing is political. It is politics. So it's just like, give me, I give you. You understand? If you don't do this for me, I won't do this for you. So I feel Amupitan is going to do the same. You know, just like what he did. You know, he's going to do the same to them. That's what I just feel. And then I think I should even pour out this. I should even throw this question to Henry, because there's one question I want you to ask.
Yeah.
John K. But when she comes, I would. You know, there's this feeling. I don't know, but how realistic is Amupitan's promise that losers will congratulate winners?
That is in the best case scenario. That is what he is talking about, is that he would make electioneering in Nigeria squeaky clean. He will make it so believable. He would make it such that it is a wonderful experience. People would not be told to go back to their state like we saw in Lagos, where people were asked, you're looking like an Igbo person, you shouldn't come and vote, and all that. So what he is actually saying is that he is going to wipe everything so clean, everything will be so perfect, that even losers would have to congratulate winners at this particular point.
We'll just wait and see, right? The Anambra election is coming up, so we'll use that to, I don't want to use the word judge, but we'll use that to, you know, How do I put it?
As a test, actually.
As a test,
yes,
yeah.
for Mama Peter.
Assess
All right, that's just about the time we have. We'd love to say thank you to you for being part of it. Please do well to follow us. If you may, you can find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Ikwebike.
And I am Kenny the Bodgerin.
Have yourself a splendid weekend, and bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.